welcome. Our student board member, Guillermo Molina from Sato Academy, will lead us in the pledge.
Place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Guillermo.
Does anybody call you Memo, Guillermo?
We welcome those who are here for purposes of addressing the board at the proper time and in the order of their request. For those who have not already submitted a request, we have provided forms in the back of the room and also have additional copies here in front at the Assistant Secretary's position. If you wish to speak during the meeting, please fill out a form indicating your name and the agenda item you wish to address. You may also make a request to give testimony on an item not listed for discussion today. However, full discussion on any items not listed on the agenda will have to be delayed until such time as the item can be publicly posted in advance as a regular agenda item. If you wish to ask questions, please address them to the chair and not to individual members of the board or to the staff. The board has been meeting in closed session regarding matters listed on today's closed session agenda and wishes to report that no reportable actions were taken. Public hearing. Initial bargaining proposals from the California School Employees Association, CSEA Chapter 2, Unit A and B, to the Long Beach Unified School District. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak to this item? If none, we would declare the hearing closed. Initial bargaining proposals for the California School Employees Association, CSEA Chapter 2, Units A and B, from the Long Beach Unified School District. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak to this item? None. Declare the hearing closed. Call for agenda items for separate action adoption.
Move approval.
No, I have a change. I'm sorry. If we could move number 20, staff report, to follow number 18, communications.
You want to move that?
Yeah,
under
we'd like to
communications
change,
first?
yeah. We'd like to move the staff report, number 20, right to follow number 18, and then we would go to number 19, public testimony on items on the agenda.
Okay. Discussion?
Oh,
Move to approve amended agenda.
second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The motion is approved unanimously. Approval of minutes?
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The motion is approved unanimously. Communications, wow. We are going to honor one of our retirees tonight, and very special. And I'll have Mr. Meyer read the certificate regarding this retiree.
Well, it's a great honor for me on behalf of the board and our staff and our district to recognize Ray Sharp. Ray is retiring after 27 years of dedicated service to the students of the Long Beach Unified School District. Whereas he served the students of the district as a teacher, program facilitator at Muir Elementary School, the Office of Multimedia Services, and whereas his classrooms were always pieces of motivated learning, mutual respect, with lessons that were well designed with clear objectives, extensive modeling, guided practice, a variety of hand-on media experiences, student projects were carefully assessed with areas for improvement noted, all in an atmosphere of collaboration in which the students excelled. Whereas he was a talented video producer and in his leadership of the Office of Multimedia Services, he was highly effective in navigating significant restructuring in the faces of budget cuts, wisely planning out, implementing a strategy to maintain critical support, while also modernizing the district's communication capability on emerging digital platforms, pursuing innovations that made the most of new technologies. And whereas he and his team have been effective in generating a wealth of new media content, from live streams of Board of Education meetings to high-quality social media material, and his ability to bring people together to support these efforts was critical. And he leaves the school district in a strong position to continue improving its communication with students, parents, and the general public. Now, therefore, it be resolved that the Board of Education of the Long Beach Unified School District commends and expresses deep gratitude to Ray Sharp for his significant and lasting behind-the-action contributions to the education of thousands of students.
Coming down?
How many times am I gonna retire?
Right, and you're wearing a suit, so.
I know, you don't recognize me. Group hug, everybody in here. We're all hugging. Thanks. I don't think I've seen you this.
We allowed to go back?
Yeah, we just kind of make it. You're right. All right. Good work. Impressive. I have come here tonight to announce that I'm suspending my campaign for the Democratic nomination for president. And I am officially endorsing Jill Baker, who would be a great president. Yes. Okay, if I start crying,
We'll have it on
it's going to
film.
happen. I first came to work for LBUSD in 1993 at the John Muir Elementary, and I owe a great debt of gratitude to the fantastic principal, Sue Lagerboard. She showed me how to handle a room full of third graders. You would be surprised how often that comes in handy. Next, I would like to thank the little people, specifically the elementary students I taught at Muir, and the high school and adult students I taught later. Many of those students have gone on to great acclaim, but I would like to specifically mention Jason Robinson, Lat Tan, and Samata Khan, who does the weather every morning on Fox 11 Los Angeles. So tune in tomorrow, you'll see her. After my 2 years in elementary, Jill Henricks brought me to the Office of Multimedia Services, and it's been my home ever since. Kathy Grubb encouraged me to create programming that highlighted the good news that was happening in LBUSD. And since there was a lot of good news, there were a lot of shows. Ed.News, The Forum, The Message, Ed.Sports, and many other programs showcased the student success in the best school district in the nation. Most people don't realize that virtually every school district in the country received a cable TV channel in the early 1960s. Unfortunately, many of those districts cut TV to save money in the 1980s. It took the vision of wise superintendents like Carl Cohn and Chris Steinhauser to keep the LBUSD TV program going. And as a result, we now have a TV streaming capability that is the envy of every other educational organization. I need to thank Chris Steinhauser for placing me in charge of the department when we were on the cusp of the digital revolution. Because of his leadership, the community can watch events both live and on demand that we couldn't imagine providing back in 1993. Along the way, I spent a lot of time moonlighting in adult and voc ed here in Long Beach Unified. And thanks to gifted administrators such as Wayne Zimmerman, we were able to help students develop skills that enabled them to enter careers that are ongoing. Wayne and I both worked for the legendary Max Fraley, who is quite simply the greatest administrator who ever lived. I thank my OMS staff, Cindy Ruiz, Ruben Sosnowski, Gary Marshall, Myrna Aguilar, Rob Floto, Blake McIntosh, and Steve Swift. Their remarkable talents and abilities always make the boss look good. I also need to recognize two former secretaries, Karen Perriman and Pat Wattoon, who were critical to running a successful office. I'd also like to thank the many district officials that I have worked with over the years. They are too numerous to mention, but two that I must recognize are Jill Baker and Ruth Ashley, who are always supportive and grateful for our efforts. Chris FDU is an excellent collaborator and communicator. My respect for him started strong and has grown every year I've worked with him. He, too, is among the best in the country at what he does, and I thank him for his support. I'd like to thank all board members, past and present, for maximizing effective learning and minimizing the politics. And I would like to thank the real powers behind the thrones, Letitia Rodriguez and Lori Betchel. The district would fall apart without them. My most important thanks go to my family, my parents. Two of my parents are here tonight, Joan and Paul. I've got two more who are homesick, Harold and Merche. They're watching on YouTube. My sisters, Kathy and Michelle, back here in the audience. And the woman who changed my life by becoming my wife, who taught me how to be a husband, and makes my life worth living. That one right there. In fact, come on up. Come on up here, honey. Come on up. So, how's it going to feel to have me home every day?
Every day?
Thank you. Good night, ladies and gentlemen.
Ray, I'm sure the folks up here want to have a shot at you or something to say. There are a lot of good years with you providing all the support to us here, making sure that the action up here was done well to the public, and the leadership you've displayed has been very special. We're all going to miss you.
I just want to thank you for being part of telling the story. I know in my 6 years of sitting up here and more years than that sitting back there, I would always come to you with great ideas, and you very politely steered me in the direction of mostly yeses. So thank you for telling not just our story, but our kids' story, and the story of this city, and the story of the success that we have, and the really bright spots. So thank you for all of that. And I still catch some of those TV shows because I do go by the public channel every once in a while. So thank you for being innovative all of those years ago as well.
Ray, I want to thank you as well. One of my fondest memories of onboarding, if you will, was the one-on-one tour that you gave me probably my first or second week after getting sworn in of OMS. And I still have the CD of the forum, of all the episodes of the forum that you put together for me. So before our superintendent retires, I'm going to play some of those, or get someone to play those so they can see Mr. Steinhauser in action here a few years ago. So much appreciation for all the work that you did and for taking us live, Ray.
Great. Yes.
Ray, you're an esteemed colleague, but more than that, you're a warm and generous friend. Thank you for your friendship.
Well, I guess there's not much I can add to that, except I appreciate everything that you've done. And anytime I've ever come to you and had an idea, you promptly put an end to that. So, but as with my colleagues, you always steered me in a better direction. Well, you always told me that you would only take direction from our superintendent. But I should have reminded you at that point that I'm one of his bosses.
Ray, to you and the family, we're going to continue with our board meeting. If you want to leave and go out and celebrate with family, you have our permission to do so, but we want you to,
Like there's a truck outside.
I want you to be on call. Be on call and if we need to call you back.
Mr. President, Board Member Kerr just pointed out that he's still here until the 11th, actually. So, where are you going, Ray?
Loud.
Thank you, Ray. Thank you very much. Okay, we are moving staff report up. We have the Jill Baker. Okay.
Thank you. I'm going to invite my colleagues Kevin Jackson and Julian Cernuda and Quentin Brown up to the podium to join me for this
Mr. Jackson,
presentation.
we're being asked to come up and your colleague to the podium. Thank you.
So thank you. I'll get started while they're on their way up here. We have a really nice opportunity to feature our collaborative efforts with the city around Census 2020. And while many of you know a lot about the census, we also want to expand this knowledge to our community and make sure that we are really getting the word out about the impact of the census. And so you're going to hear us share in this presentation in different ways. I also want to acknowledge that there are several people from the Long Beach staff that have contributed to the efforts that you're going to hear about who are not in the room today. Sashia Tulo from the high school office, Alan Shepard from OCIPD, Chris Eftahue from Public Information, and Chris Itzen from social media. It takes a team to get this kind of information out into the community, and so internally, we have a team working on that. You're also going to hear from Julian Cernuda, who lives and breathes the census these days, came into the city and now is the manager of census program, and from Kevin Jackson, deputy city manager. We are grateful to have their partnership. So we're going to share a little bit about our simultaneous efforts that are going on individually, but most importantly, our collaborative and our collective efforts that are reaching out through the Complete Count Committee and also across the city to ensure that there is a complete count. Can you forward that? One more. Good. So just proceeding, I'm about to hand off to Julian, who's our real expert. But you know from a broad stroke, this is a really momentous occasion and a really important occasion to have the census go on. It determines representation, which is at the heart of our democracy, and it also has a huge impact on all aspects of funding and things that you may not even imagine. When you hear the team talk about what is impacted by census, it is really deep and really wide across our city. And so I'm going to pass to Julian to take it from there.
Board members and executive staff, thanks for having us here today to hopefully impart some importance on why the census matters to us here in Long Beach. So to begin with, I think it's very important to acknowledge the challenges that we have this year around with the upcoming 2020 census. So in this slide is just, we think it's a cool and kind of just a cool visual of the barriers that we're working together to overcome to make sure that we get a complete count. So the first one is ensuring that every address is collected by the Census Bureau, and that's something we worked now about over a year and a half ago with the Census Bureau and nonprofits in the area. And we actually canvassed hard-to-count areas of the city to make sure that we identified low-visibility housing, like converted garage units, for example, granny flats, anything of that nature. This one's a really big deal, too. So for the first time since 1790, the census questionnaire is actually going to be brought online. So it's going digital, first time ever. So making sure that we address, the digital gap that exists here in our city is something that's very important that we do. The other one is also, privacy concerns. Because it is going online, there may be certain populations that may be concerned about, is scam, will we be scammed? If, how can we protect, around that to make sure that the questionnaire is secure online? So all these concerns, the citizenship question as well, although we know it will not be on the questionnaire, when it's launched in a week and a half or so. There's still that anxiety and uncertainty that is existing in immigrant communities specifically around that question or the possibility that it was there. So, we go doing training presentations across the city, and there's still many people that did not know that it was not going to be on the questionnaire. So again, it's dispelling this misinformation. The Bureau is understaffed and underfunded this year, so that makes it even more challenging, and that means that we have to step forward as local agencies and organizations to fill that gap that has been left. And then, of course, we live in a very diverse city, so language access is an important piece. So after our residents are able to go through all those bumps, we can get them to complete the census questionnaire. Here what you see is the hard to count map of the city of Long Beach. So the big takeaway from this map is basically the darker the shading is the lower the response scores, the lower the response score, and therefore the harder it is to encourage residents to complete the questionnaire. So as you can see those areas, that's where we really want to focus on to make sure that everybody gets the right information and we correct any misinformation that exists in the community while making sure that everyone in our city, across our 52 square miles gets counted. So these are, what we called, I referred to earlier as hard to count populations. So these are just, some examples. When I first started working with the census and I looked at this, I was like, oh man, this looks just like the city of Long Beach. So it's like, I guess we have a really, big challenge ahead of us. But just to point this one out, we do live in the hardest to count state, and the county of LA is the hardest to count county in the country. And as the second largest city in the county, you can imagine that we definitely have, a good challenge ahead of us. If there is one number that you can take away this evening, I would love for it to be the number 2,000, and that is because for every person that we miss doesn't go counted, or goes uncounted, we as a community, not an organization like the city or the school district, we as a community, as part of being a community member, we lose $2,000 per person per year. So even one individual, you're looking at $20,000 over the 10-year span of the census, because remember, it only comes around once every 10 years. So you can imagine, you may have a family living in, a converted unit of some type. Maybe they're hesitant to complete it. That's, a few people here, a few people there, another there. You very quickly start seeing the consequences of not having a complete count through what Jill mentioned earlier, which is the representation and the funding piece. So, please take that number away with you if possible. So with that being said, I'll pass it over to Kevin and talk about some of the things that we've been up to at the City of Long Beach.
Okay. Thank you, Julian, and good evening, Chairperson Williams and members of the board and executive staff. We're very excited about this opportunity to present to you about what we've been doing on the census for the last, actually, probably 3 years we've been working on the census, and so we're really excited about being at this point where we are moving forward to implement and deliver on all the planning that we've been doing. So I just wanted to spend a few minutes talking about our general approach to the census and what we've been doing for the last several months. So we started this journey a couple years ago with just a call from the mayor for us to exert some really bold leadership on the census this time around. I guess historically, we haven't committed as many resources as we'd like to have in past censuses, and so he really wanted us to really be robust this time around. And so we made a commitment to provide some leadership out of the city manager's office. And as the deputy city manager, I oversee government and community relations, so the census is a project that fits within my area. And so one of the things that, continuing with that perspective or that expectation, we decided that it's important that first, if we really wanted to be successful, that we could make a strong commitment of resources to the census. And so to date, we have committed a little more than $500,000 of city general funds to the census, and then we are leveraging a contract with the county for state dollars in the amount of $322. So a little more than $800,000 dedicated to all the census efforts. We also hired some staffing and to work specifically on the census, and Julian is our prolific project manager, and he's been doing a wonderful job for us. I consider us as having a lean staff, so he's just got a couple people helping him out of the manager's office, but he's doing a fine job nonetheless. And one of the things that we did a little bit differently than we've done in the past, and it's consistent with what is happening in LA and also the county, is we created an expectation that all 23 of our city departments would develop census outreach plans within the existing resources that they have, and then we also asked them to think a little aspirationally about things that they could do if they had some additional resources to commit to the census. And so that was our starting plan for creating a foundation for moving from inside of our organization and outside to the community to create a collaboration to have a successful census. And so another key point for us was to not recreate the wheel if we didn't have to. We wanted to make sure that we utilize all our existing assets and resources before trying to create something brand new to have a successful census. And so over the last couple of years, we've operationalized an Office of Equity in the City of Long Beach. And so we have a number of equity initiatives that we have undertaken over the last several years and built some relationships in the community that we felt would give us a really, really strong foundation for doing some good community outreach. And so one of those programs is our Language Access Program. And so that is, as Julian talked about, is really, really critically important to our census efforts, being that we are such a diverse community here in Long Beach and in the state of California, obviously. And then finally, it was my perspective that, if we really wanted to be successful on the census, and given the enormity of it this time around, we wanted to start the process by making sure we engage the entire community. But we wanted to be an example first, and so we made a commitment to work interdepartmentally, get all our departments engaged, and then to reach out to the Bureau, start working with the Bureau, the state, and the county. And then we made a commitment to move out to the community. And our overall theory was that it was important for us to not only build these partnerships inside and outside of our organization, but to provide some leadership to facilitate cross-sector collaboration once we brought everybody together. So that's sort of the way that we've been working. That's the way we designed it from the outset. And so far, it's been working really good. And so what we came up with was a Long Beach Complete Count Committee, represented by about 40 different organizations from a variety of sectors, community and faith-based organizations, local business, all of our major public health institutions, educational institutions, and so forth and so on. And what we believe that we've created is a collaborative network of anchor institutions in our community that can give us an opportunity to cast a broad net on the census. And so in keeping with our theory of bringing everybody together and working in a collaborative fashion, we felt it was important to do it early so that we can plan together as well as work together. And that we looked at was really a big challenge, because getting all these different organizations together to actually work on a strategic plan that aren't used to working together, we thought that would be a significant challenge, but we knew that we felt that would be really important for us being successful. And so over the last 6 months, we've been able to create a unified vision and mission for the census. Everyone counts in Long Beach. We're working together to ensure that each and every person from Newmore and up is counted. We created a strategic plan with a series of goals and objectives that are summarized here. We want to make sure that we focus on the hard-to-count communities for sure. That is the main objective. We want citywide engagement as well. And we want to make sure, and we've been working towards recruiting a diverse workforce. We felt like that would give us a really strong advantage if we have people in our community actually working for the census, and that would give us a force multiplier. And then the other piece is, while we brought the partnerships together, we wanted to be strategic along the way in making sure we strengthen those partnerships and build new partnerships as we go. And so we created an implementation plan that we're very proud of. That's holistic in nature, has about maybe 400 different activities that are aligned with the goals and objectives, and we are on our way. And so we just wanted to, before I turn it over to Quentin, we just wanted to give some highlights of some of the things that we've been doing over at the city. We're very proud of the partnership that we've been able to create with LBUSD, with interns. We now have interns working in the city manager's office. That is very exciting. I keep reminding Julian of that. So, starting this from scratch and to see those young people working in our city manager's office is absolutely amazing. We also are proud of the partnership that we've established with CSULB, with service learning students. We really are proud of the fact that we had a partnership with the community early on to create a complete address list, as Julian indicated earlier. That's the starting point for having a successful census. We've worked with the Census Bureau to meet all their recruitment expectations with our Workforce Development Bureau at the city. And we expect to have, at least from the city standpoint, I think we're going to have more census action kiosks, places where people can get help taking the census. 37 of them at least in libraries and public facilities throughout the city. But I think we're actually going to have more than 37 scattered throughout the community. And we are happy to report that we have initiated a community grants process to grant out over $200,000 in grants to nonprofit organizations to help spread the word about the census. And then finally, there are a series of communications activities, because this is principally about communication, obviously, that all of our city departments are engaged in terms of leveraging their social media assets. We've launched a website recently. We have the benefit of our two public utilities, our water department and our gas department. So we're going to be putting inserts in the utility bills, and then of course all the outreach materials. We're taking responsibility for producing all those outreach materials in partnership with the community, public service announcements, and then, of course, a couple things there, branding our city vehicles with decals, as well as making sure all of our employees are including information in the census on their email signatures. So it's just a snapshot of some of the things that we're doing. But I think the point is that we felt it was important enough to make it an enterprise-wide commitment, and that's it. That's what we've been doing over at the city. And I just want to say before I close out that I am so excited that the school district took us up on the partnership to support our efforts in engaging the entire community. It has proved to be very successful thus far. And we are very, very appreciative of the commitment of the school district helping us out. And I'll turn it over to Quentin. Is it Jill?
Next slide is mine. So we're just going to give you, simultaneous to the city's efforts, tell you a little bit about what's going on internally in Long Beach Unified. So the next slide just gives you a glimpse at almost $100 million that come into the district that could be impacted positively or negatively by census. The Title I program, nutrition programs, Head Start preschool. But I think that last bullet is the underestimated. Millions of dollars that support all families in housing, health, and nutrition, both during the school day and after school hours that are determined by the census count. It's kind of obvious, but just to say it, everything that our families experience in the city can be impacted by the census. One slide forward. And then just to give you some of the language we're using to help staff understand the significance of the census. So on that left-hand side, you see the why folks should be involved, and then some of the key points that we're using in our internal communication when you look on that right-hand side and what is impacted by census. Lastly, before I pass back to Quentin, the all-district communication. So we have taken several opportunities to communicate with all of our school staff. And as the census date comes, for you to know that our family resource centers are all equipped with questionnaire assistance kiosks with information, and the staff has been trained in how to support families in taking the census. But more importantly, every single school office, they are not census administrators, but they are a place where our families can take the census. The school staffs know, the secretaries and other office staff know that if a family comes in with their card, they can get on the Chromebook right there in the office and use that to take the census. So every single one of our schools is a place where someone can walk in and take the census. And that's was part of our commitment to making sure that we impact every part of the city.
Okay, good evening, board members and executive staff. For our teacher and administrator engagement, we're very fortunate that the U.S. Census Bureau has provided some wonderful grade level appropriate materials and activities for all of our students across our district, from our pre-K to K students and K through 12 students, and also our adult students as well. Just the other day, we had a couple people from the U.S. Census Bureau actually come out and visit some of our CDC centers and provide them with materials for that grade level so that they can get an understanding and a foundation of what the census is all about. We also, a couple weeks ago, had a couple of members from the regional U.S. Census Bureau come out and actually do some trainings at our DCAC meeting and our DLAC meeting as well. And in a couple of weeks, we're going to actually have them come out again and do some information at our parent university format. And then lastly, Dr. Baker thanked Alan, but I want to really thank Alan Shepard again and he's our history social science curriculum lead. He was able to contact every single K through 12 history social science teacher and actually provide them with resources and activities so that all of our students can have access to the census and understand the importance and the reason that we do it. So I want to give him a special kudos. And then we asked all of our students and teachers across our district just to make sure that our students know these three foundational things that you see up here. Everyone counts. Everyone needs to be counted in our system because this actually is to show fair representation across our land, especially in the House of Representatives, because once the census is taken, those numbers stay for 10 years. And then lastly, it's a constitutional mandate, okay, which happens every 10 years. And as Julian said, it started in 1790. And I'm very, very proud of our associated student bodies, not only at the high school level, but the middle school and the elementary levels, because they have really helped us do a great campaign across all of our school sites. They've done workshops via rallies and assemblies. I've actually been in classrooms where they've done some module work, so I was really, really proud to see that. And I want to thank Chris Itzen for kind of leading that charge. And I won't take Julian's thunder away. He'll tell you a little bit about our big event coming up in a couple weeks. But we've also put out information to our high school students and let them know that if they want to become census takers, they have that opportunity as well. And they pay $25 an hour, so I was thinking about it after 4:30, I was thinking about joining it.
Can we apply for that soon?
For you, after November. And lastly, special kudos to Chris Itzen, who's a wonderful social media guru who has put out wonderful information every Sunday about the census, and just kind of updating us through Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and of course, our ASB students. And we're also utilizing our Pathway Ambassadors as well. So they've done a great job, and these two young men have led me, and I appreciate both of you. Okay, thank you.
So of course, we couldn't leave you without giving some nitty gritty and specific dates and some good takeaways. So this is just a very simple timeline of a very high level overview of what the census timeline looks like for us. So beginning March 12th, that is just 8 days away. That's just kind of crazy to believe that. Everyone that lives in that has an address, so like a traditional dwelling unit, apartment, townhome, single family unit, anything like that, they will receive an invitation from the Census Bureau, which is going to be in the form of a simple like postcard or letter. Basically, in the letter, it's going to have a code, a unique code that's tied to the address, not the individual, because the Census Bureau does not know who lives where. They just know that an address exists. That's very important to understand. So you'll get that correspondence in the mail. It'll basically say like, hey resident, please take this code with you and put it in the census website and complete the questionnaire. It's only 9 questions. I'm going to say 9. Did a training today and somebody thought I said 90 questions. So 9 questions, 9 questions. And it takes anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes depending on the size of the household. And the questions, it does ask for your name and your telephone number and just demographic questions as well. So people have the opportunity to participate in the census beginning March 12th, and then April 1 is Census Day. So you will hear, all of us through the Complete Count Committee partnerships, the media, the county, the state, the Census Bureau, you'll hear, and to encourage people and drive everybody to the questionnaire on Census Day, which is April 1. that's the kind of message we want to provide. If people by chance do not complete the questionnaire by April 1, it's okay, because the census questionnaire timeframe actually runs all the way through the end of July. So, certainly encourage people to complete the questionnaire as soon as possible, preferably by April 1, because that helps the Census Bureau out. But if by chance they, toss the first invitation away, they'll get additional reminders, and they'll actually get the paper questionnaire at the very end on the fourth and final reminder, but they have all the way to the end of July to complete that. And then if you do not respond on your own, then you run a very high likelihood of somebody coming to knock on your door, and that'll be the Census Bureau who will assist you in completing the questionnaire. The questionnaire can be done, just to be clear, online, in person through the enumerator, but also on the phone, and then obviously sent in the mail at the tail end. So this is what Quentin was very nice about and didn't steal a thunder, but we're, as a Complete Count Committee, planning basically a kickoff event on April 2nd. We have secured a location, Renaissance High School, so thank you for helping with that. And the time change has changed from 10 to 11, but we will provide additional details. We're still working on finalizing the agenda, but definitely we'll share that information with you. And just note the amazing rocket that is on that slide. With that being said, we were working with our staff, with our partners, to make sure that, community leaders, trusted messengers, we call them in the census world, have good information to take away with them so that, you all feel comfortable engaging your friends, your families, your neighbors, your networks about the census. So, we hope that with this, the critical nuts and bolts information that we're able to provide, you feel a little bit better and you've gotten some insight into what's going on in the city of Long Beach and helping to complete a complete count. Because you all are, obviously leaders and also trusted messengers. So please, think about the role that you play in the community and your role in informing residents that, the census does actually matter. Just because it comes around once every 10 years doesn't mean you should, disregard it. It touches us every day, as Jill mentioned in the very beginning, through, better roads, better sidewalks, education, hospitals, healthcare. So it runs the gamut. So, take that with you if you don't mind. So with that being said, wanted to close obviously with just some, if you have any questions or suggestions, comments, we're all happy to take them.
First and foremost, we want to thank you all for sharing this information with us about the census. I wanted to ask in regards to the city's educational channel, is this information being shared on that channel about the census?
So yes, we are fortunate, as Kevin mentioned, we work with all departments, so including technology and the TID, Technology Innovation Department, and through LBTV, we've been able to create like public service announcements that we're going to be airing and sharing with our partners, just to pump through all our channels to make sure that people hear about it and the importance.
Questions?
Yeah, I have a few technical questions that I think it would be important for our community members, particularly in our hardest to count communities in our service area, to hear. But I want to give a shout out to Kevin, Julian, Augusta, who's not here, Joy, Lean and Mean team, and then on our end to Jill, Quentin, and all the staff that have really put this together. And even though Kevin said 3 years, really the last 6 months have ramped up. All right, nice thought there on the 3 years, Kevin. But my technical questions are, given that this thing goes live March 12th, not everyone may know that they can do this thing online. And then, after the 1st of April, enumerators will start coming out, particularly for folks in our hardest to count communities. How will they be able to identify someone coming to their door and that it's the real deal and not either a scam or Homeland Security and or some other entity, and who they should open up for?
Sure. So concerning the security piece, the Census Bureau does not share information with any agency. What they tell us is, they say, think of us as a black box that's only one way. So we only receive information and we do not share it out. And that is with any agency. So local, federal, or state, they cannot share that. the census takers also take, a lifetime oath to basically not share the information that they see while they're assisting in the questionnaire completion with our residents. If they were to violate that oath, then they do face a penalty and also jail time, if that were to happen. And the other piece as well is, it's called the 72 year law but basically what it states is that your information will be sealed for 72 years, and only after the 72 years passes will it be released. And that, you might ask, oh, why 72 years, or why does that happen? And a lot of people use that, you may say like Ancestry.com and everything, so that information is released, mostly for like research purposes to see how individuals come. So that's the security piece. How you know that it will be a true census taker is that they will have a badge. They did not want to share it with me because, to reduce duplication, all that. But basically, it will have a watermark on there of the Department of Commerce, and then it will also have a unique ID code to that census taker. And that census taker should be very happy to provide you a telephone number that you can call, which would be the Census Bureau, to confirm that that is in fact a census taker. Boiler point, kind of how do you protect yourself, is that the Census Bureau taker will never ask you for financial information. They will never ask for a debit, credit card number, who you bank with, anything like that. They will never ask for your social security number. They don't need that to complete the questionnaire. And then also you will never get an email from the Census Bureau prompting you to complete the questionnaire. So those are some, 3 good key boiler points to keep in mind to make sure that you are in fact completing the questionnaire form from the Census Bureau.
Thank you, Julian. And related to this, we talked about the importance of the census being able to be done online now. And again, inevitably, a lot of folks, we can encourage, motivate, cajole if we have to make sure the folks do it. But, things happen, right? You lose your code. You may not have received it in the mail. You may have moved. You can still do it online even without your code, right? There's just an added layer online. So if someone shows up to, let's say, one of our FRCs or an office and they don't have their code, they can still do the census online, right?
Yes, absolutely correct. So it's best case scenario if you have the code.
Yeah.
If you do not, you can just type in your address and it'll still accept it. Also, kind of along that line is the census, obviously encourage everyone to complete all of the questions, but you may submit the questionnaire even if there are some questions missing. However, if people submit it that way, then again, you run the risk of a visit or a phone call from the Census Bureau to try to complete that questionnaire with you at the end.
Last question, Julian. This is the big one, since I know you know every single entity that's working on that. Yeah, I think it would be good to highlight. We talk about trusted messengers in our district and the partners being trusted messengers. I think it would be important to also highlight some of the other organizations that are working on the ground in our communities, because quite frankly, folks may not be as comfortable talking to someone from the city. No disrespect. Right, but is there a list or somewhere on the city's census website or something that we can put on our end up of who the other organizations are and where the other QAKs or QACs may be?
So we'll definitely, we have the roster online, so we'll definitely share that, a host of community nonprofits. And then for the QAC, QAKs, which is just the census help stations, we're working with the county to basically upload county-wide all of these census help stations. So once that's been finalized, once it's launched and ready, we will include that as a link to the city website.
And just like an FYI, much like our voting centers, folks will be able to go to any of these QACs, QAKs, and do the census online there, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
Will we have more of those than just at our FRCs, or is it going to be limited to our
Those
FRCs?
are the district, where the district sites are, but
Okay.
there are other sites in the city.
Okay, but not any more specific in our buildings, the
Right.
FRCs, okay.
Yeah,
That's just one.
and the ability to take it in the school
the
office on similar
Yeah.
Chromebook.
Let's do a pizza night,
I know,
Mr.
I said, like,
Superintendent.
Yeah.
Like, which middle school's doing a pizza night?
I just stole Megan's idea.
I know, you stole my idea.
Other
Trying
questions?
to
We've
calculate
also
how much
had a
pizza.
number of both preschool, elementary school, middle school, where they've had census staff out doing presentations at parent nights, and really, this is kind of a snapshot of the different activities, but there are many more activities that we didn't even have a chance to highlight tonight.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. Really appreciate you coming out and sharing that information with us this evening. Thank you all.
Yes, thank you.
Very much. Thank you. All right. Okay, we are now at,
Twenty-one.
public testimony on items listed on the agenda. I have no request. Move right into public testimony on items not listed. And for those of you who are going to speak tonight on items not listed, please note that as a board, we cannot comment on your presentations, but rest assured that we are listening to every word that you say. With that, let me ask Amber Va to come up.
Good evening, honorable board members. My name is Amber. I am a recent Poly alumni and a current student at California State University, Long Beach. I would like to bring up to the LBUSD Board of Education about removing Jeff Jacobs' teaching credentials in LBUSD. On the morning of February 21st, 2020, at 8:30 a.m. in front of Poly, Miriam Gerba has been placed on paid administrative leave simply for standing up to the rapist, Jeff Jacobs. According to Ms. Gerba's case file documents, she has been sexually assaulted, abused, and scared her life would be in danger. Is Jeff Jacobs someone you'd want to be around your children? Absolutely not. We currently have an online petition via change.org, and we have currently 4,000 signatures. This is just unjust on how the school district is responding. She deserves justice. Ms. Gerba is my former government and economics teacher. She helps students succeed. She cares about students and the well-being, and she makes teaching fun. She inspired me to get to where I am today. Without her, I wouldn't have found my voice in striving for higher education and wanting to have a minor in environmental science and policy. Please take into consideration what would happen to your child knowing Jeff Jacobs is teaching in LBUSD. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I may have a little trouble pronouncing this name. Nariv Hernandez Herrera.
Good evening, Mr. Molina and board members. My name is Nerik Hernandez Herrera.
And I'm Darlene Tiff.
And on behalf of Sato Academy, we are here to announce that our annual Elementary Engineering Day was once again very successful, and honestly, it was a blast. Our Dragons were able to introduce basic engineering concepts to over 3,000 elementary students across the district. I would like to formally thank you for allowing us to do this activity that not only promotes equity and access, but also exposes science and engineering concepts to students from all socioeconomic backgrounds. As a child, I myself didn't have an opportunity like this, so it definitely makes me happy to be able to go back to my old elementary school and see my old teachers and be in their shoes for a split second, and honestly, I owe them an apology. Every year I see kids that are inspired by the activities they do, and then there's always a kid who comes up to me and says, I want to do this when I grow up. So I once again thank those of you who came and for giving Sato the opportunity to give back to our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Guillermo, was that part of your presentation tonight? Did they steal your thunder?
Just a little bit. But
Just a little bit, though.
Thank you both very much.
Thank you.
I just have a first name, April.
Oh boy, this is scary. I wanted to speak on behalf for Ms. Gerba. My name is April. I am currently a Long Beach City College student. And once I found out that Ms. Gerba she lost her job, I was completely sad and devastated because I am a victim of sexual assault. And one day, I couldn't even step inside my class. She wrote a little note. She said everything is going to be okay, and to talk to me after class. that conversation changed my life. She made me see that me being me shouldn't have to change. And that's why once I heard Ms. Gerber lost her job, I got sad because Polly is my home. She makes it feel like home. Additionally, other teachers as well. And so I would like to have Ms. Gerber back to work at Long Beach Polytechnic High School. And yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Michaela Hoover? Michaela?
Hi, so my name is Michaela Hoover, and I am a Long Beach Poly alumni. Earlier last week, some alumni, they sent in a request to add a agenda item to the meeting, kind of concerning what's been happening at Long Beach Poly, concerning Ms. Huff and her use of racial language directed at a student, and the Ms. Gerber being put on lease. I know that Chris Steinhauser has said that this issue is very important, and I know that the district is saying that they're taking this issue very seriously, but if that is so, why was the, if we followed due process, why were the alumni's request rejected by putting the meeting items on the board? And I would like to use the rest of my time for the board to answer that question, if they can.
Thank you very much. Lan Nguyen? Oh, I'm sorry.
They cannot answer your question.
As I mentioned earlier, since it's not part of the agenda, we can't respond, but rest assured we've listened to every word that you've said.
Okay, and please, there's a lot of people that are here that this issue is very important to them, so this is a very important issue for a lot of people, and I know that you guys are investigating and being thorough.
We're dealing with it.
Okay.
We're dealing with it.
But how could we talk to the reason as to why that was rejected? Like, if we follow the due process?
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Superintendent, a question on that item. Is there a statement that we can refer folks back to that the district has put out about Poly? Okay.
Lan Nguyen?
Thank you for pronouncing my name right. That means a lot. Hi, everyone. My name is Lan Nguyen, and I teach ethnic studies at Long Beach Poly High School. I spoke at this meeting 2 weeks ago about my concern regarding a teacher at Poly who called a student the N-word and saw no follow-up action. I collected and delivered signatures and letters from 150 Poly alumni expressing their concerns. I am thankful for your confirmation that you received the petition, but I'm disheartened by the lack of dialogue or action. Last week, I followed instructions to submit a discussion item on the agenda for today about restorative justice, processes for reporting abuse, and about how to listen to student concerns, but my request was denied without any explanation. I made it very clear on my request that I did not want to talk about the investigation, and I understand that the investigation is private, but rather I want to talk about how we can listen to students. And I am very disheartened that that request was denied. How is that democracy? Many students wanted to show up today and share their concerns, but they are too young to drive themselves. At 5 p.m., many parents are still working or just leaving work, so they can't drive their students to this meeting. What outlet do you have for students and their parents to share their concerns if they can't come to this meeting? Last week, in my ethnic studies class, I taught my students about institutional oppression. Institutional oppression is when laws, policies, and systems oppress marginalized communities, such as when Black people get longer prison sentences than white people for the same crimes. In my students' weekly journals, many of my students listed Long Beach School Board as an example of institutional oppression. I did not tell them that. They came up with that on their own. They tell me that they asked for help, but instead of receiving help, they felt terrorized when police interrogated them without their parents present. My students shared with me that they feel powerless in this situation and feel like they have no outlet to share their voice. I am proud that my students were able to correctly identify an example of institutional oppression, but am heartbroken that they had to live through it and experience it from their school board. In my class, I'm trying to empower my students to participate in democracy and to vote, but they tell me that it feels like it won't make a difference. And to be honest, It's hard for me to tell them that I believe in democracy when I tried to participate and my request was denied, and I'm limited to 3 minutes to share with you today and cannot receive a response. Today, I'm here to tell you that students are feeling disheartened, unsafe, and uninspired. I have talked to many of them, and they're unable to get here today because of the situations that I shared earlier. I'm asking you to make space for them to be heard, and I'm asking you to make them feel safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Kevin Melvin.
Hello. Much like other people here, I'm here to talk about recent events at Long Beach Poly with Ms. Huff. Several students have come forward saying that she used racial slurs as well as physically abusive behavior towards them. And I just think that the inaction is like Lan said, disheartening. I think it's important that we listen to kids and young adults when they report abuse, and it's the responsibility of those in power, people of the board, to see that they do everything possible to end that abuse. Sending a teacher back to the classes in which they've wreaked the havoc is not a way to put an end to that abusive behavior. We have to consider the well-being of the students in this class, the classroom. Like Lan said, they feel voiceless right now, and it's easy to see why, because not a lot is being done. And we have to also consider the fact that when we allow a racist joke to go unaddressed, we're laying the groundwork for more violent forms of oppression towards Black and brown people. It starts off as a joke, and then it leads to physical violence, et cetera, institutionalized racism, basically where we're at today. I don't believe there's any passive way to sit by and just hope that racism ends. I think that it requires action. It requires the constant unlearning of ideas that are rooted in white supremacy. And it requires that we don't allow racist behaviors from teachers in the classroom. I think that's a simple start. And I implore the board to hear the students, to hear your students. Remove Ms. Huff for her abusive behaviors and reinstate Ms. Gerba, another teacher at Poly who was an ally of the students speaking out and was removed for speaking out against sexual abuse that she herself endured. Thank you.
Thank you. MX Javon McNeil.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Javon McNeil. I'm an early career research scientist and a poet. And I was brought here today by a headline from the Long Beach youth written publication Voice Waves regarding the students of Poly High School protesting cruel punishment, sexual misconduct, and other behaviors from authorities in schools that do not belong. As a former student of the Long Beach Unified School District and a graduate of Cal State Long Beach, I care deeply about the conditions of the schools which house the majority of our youth. More and more, as we speak, we have more youth than adults in Long Beach, as we know. I come with my own lived experience of unfair treatment on the behalf of who I was as a problem child and simultaneously someone who retained a 4.0. And tonight, I speak on the behalf of students who have experienced trauma in the school district that has or has not been fairly resolved. The only way we all can begin to resolve these issues is if we actually listen to these students and give them the platform they deserve. If they are not seen or heard, they will revolt. In this age, students can communicate quickly and in numbers. Misconduct will no longer hide within the gates, and we need to, again, listen to our students. We need to listen to their needs and concerns about these injustices and allow them to reframe the restoration that they're looking for. Thank you.
Thank you. Estefania Gallo. Estefania Gallo.
Hello, my name is Estefania Gallo, and I am a graduate from Long Beach Poly High School in 2014, and I'm currently a teacher in South LA Continuation School. I would just like to echo what a lot of my Long Beach family has already said about what's going on at Poly with Ms. Gerba, and I would just like to reiterate that writing a memo to the public about the investigations is insufficient. Talking to my friend after the meeting is insufficient. Students dealing with extreme cases of racism, sexual assault, and watching a teacher who spoke out about sexual assault and defend their racism getting dragged out of the school is psychologically damaging. It is absolutely insufficient to not allow public comment on this, to not look out for the students' needs in terms of psychological welfare. Please do more. Please do better. And as an alumni who cares deeply about the youth, because the youth are carrying our world and doing our work and have a voice and will be on this planet for much longer than any of us, they deserve all the respect and care. And as an alumni, we will continue to come to these meetings. We will continue to speak on the internet. We will continue to talk and speak and do the work that we need to do.
Thank you. Vanzadar Easley.
Tandazar. So there's more of us now. I just want to say that this is not to sensationalize or to blow it out of proportion. You know, I know that there's a process, but there has to be a way that we handle it. You know, there's a right spirit to go about it. And you want people to know that you care. I mean, at the end of the day, that's all that really matters, is that we care. You know, this is very important. There's a lot of people who are being affected by this every day. And even just one of you stepping out and saying, hey, this is what, you know, being able to say that we do and putting a statement that puts people in front of you where they can communicate and really get to see you face to face or whatever it has to be, that you can communicate that you do care. Because I believe that you guys are working. I just want to believe that you're working on this just as hard as anything else, that you are able to see what's going on and realize that there may be a better way to communicate with the rest of society, the rest of the community. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Jordan Nguyen. Jordan Nguyen.
Hi there, my name is Jordan Nguyen. I am a Long Beach Poly alumni. I graduated in 2013 with a gold robe from the PACE program at Poly. I'm very proud of Poly High School, and I frequently, in my work, reference their motto, enter to learn, go forth to serve. Our motto is a dedication to service of all peoples, a call to action to take what you've learned and bring those lessons and values with you into the world. Miriam Gerba was my 9th grade government and politics teacher, and was fundamental to teaching me the value of Poly's motto. She taught me the importance of civic engagement in creating change and pursuing justice. Justice not only takes spirit and courage, but the action to get things done. It is why I'm here today, and I'm so deeply engaged in serving my community by aiding those whose voices are suppressed and ignored. To achieve justice, speaking out boldly and engaging in the civic process is vital. It is why I'm here today at this board. I now speak in support of Miriam Gerba and having the courage to speak out against perpetrators of violence and racism in our schooling system. Gerba is standing up for our young, bright students at Poly. She stood up for students of color, for queer students, for survivors of sexual assault and violence. Racism, sexism, homophobia, and violence have no place at our schools, and perpetrators of these things should not be welcomed as teachers at our schools. I'm proud that Gerba stood strong and put her job on the line to call out the racism of Libby Huff at Poly and the homophobia and violence perpetrated by Jeff Jacobs at Cabrillo, and stood with the students who were speaking out against this kind of violence as well. To hear that Gerba has been dismissed for calling out these injustices in our schooling system is disheartening, unjust, and wrong. I hope you take the testimonies of alumni and students to heart. These brave students and alumni who have followed the example and pursuit of justice set by Gerba stand here to support her. We need more action and dialogue open with the students, teachers, and alumni about how to listen to and believe the students experiencing these things. We need to fight institutional oppression and prioritize the voices of the students we care about. We need to reinstate Gerba as a teacher at Long Beach Poly. She should have never been removed in the first place. It is not being disruptive to call out injustice. It is an inspiration to students past and present. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Again, for all of you who came out to speak tonight on the issues that you were concerned about, we appreciate it. And again, we can't comment as a board, but please understand that we hear every word that you're saying. So thank you all very much. We're now at business items, personnel. Mr. Meyer.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. I present the following proposed actions prepared by the Assistant Superintendent of Human Resource Services, approved and recommended by the Superintendent. Appointments 91, leaves of absence 7, abandonment of position 2, termination of service 1, resignations 7, retirements 4, amendments 1, and these pertain to the classified and exempt personnel. Certificated personnel appointments 12, and service changes 66, leaves of absence 6, releases of temporary contract employees 2, resignations 4, retirements 8, amendments 1, and I move approval.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? The motion is approved unanimously. Instruction.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? The motion is approved unanimously. Finance report A.
Move approval?
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The motion is approved unanimously. Finance report B.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I recuse myself from participation in Finance Report B on the consent calendar. I have a potential financial interest under Government Code 1091 and 87100. My husband works for a subcontractor who has done work for the payees.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is approved 4-0 with 1 recusal. Business Department report.
Move approval?
Second.
Discussion?
Yes, I'm not sure if this belongs under business department or purchasing and contracts, but I'm wondering if we could get an update, Mr. Superintendent, on the community workforce development agreement that we passed. I know that there were some revisions that still needed to be done, and I'm not aware of those revisions having been made yet. So if we could just get an update on sort of timeline for that agreement being executed?
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? The motion is approved unanimously. Purchasing and contracts report.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? The motion is approved unanimously. We are at superintendent items, student readmit.
Yes, Mr. President, members of the board, staff's pleased to recommend that student 740 be readmitted to schools within the school district.
Move approval?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The motion is approved unanimously. There is a correction on the administrative assignment.
But that's not going to take
There
place.
is no administrative assignment, okay. We are at unfinished business, there is none. Adoption of initial bargaining proposal from the California School Employees Association, CSEA Chapter 2, Units A and B, to the Long Beach Unified School District.
Move approval?
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? The motion is approved unanimously. Adoption of initial bargaining proposals for the California School Employees Association,
Move to approve.
Chapter 2, Unit A and B from the Long Beach Unified School
Sorry.
District.
Now I move to approve.
Second?
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? The motion is approved unanimously. Second interim financial report for
Board meeting schedule. The board meeting schedule.
Oh,
Sorry.
board meeting schedule.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion?
We're just changing 2 dates in June meetings, right?
Correct.
Just shifting a day on one week and 2 days on the other,
Mhm.
so
Correct.
plenty of time for people to
Yeah.
adjust their calendars.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? The motion is approved unanimously. Second interim financial report for 2019-20.
Move approval?
Second.
Oh, wait,
Okay.
do we have
This
Renee or
dis-
someone?
discussion,
bringing up-
Yumi.
Yumi?
I can speak to it.
Discussion.
Yes.
There we go.
So this is our second look at our revenues and expenditures for this year. I'd like to acknowledge Renee Arcus and Zach Ige and the rest of the fiscal team for their really hard work in putting this report together. We are recommending a positive certification indicating that the district can meet its financial obligations this year and for the 2 out years. Our projections for 2019-20 are very much in line to those that we presented with the first interim, with a modest increase to a projected ending balance of $3 million for a projected ending balance of $237 million. In our out years, we have incorporated the governor's proposals, which presented a more favorable revenue projections in the form of increased cost of living adjustment increases for the district. But we are continuing to show deficit spending that will begin next year of approximately $14 million due to continued declining enrollment and increasing costs, such as our increased contributions to the STRS and PERS retirement systems. And that deficit builds as we project further out. So we await the governor's May revision when we hopefully will have more clarity on the governor's revenue proposals, particularly in the area of special education. So he had proposed additional funding for special education. We just don't have the detail on that proposal yet. So we will incorporate those numbers into the budget for 2021, which we'll bring to you in the June timeframe.
Thank you. Discussion?
Yes, one of the themes at our Superintendent Selections Forum has been to highlight the fact that we have a healthy fiscal district. And I think it's important to highlight, Mr. Superintendent, given that we do have a superintendent process underway, given that we have an uncertain national and state budget climate, how important it is to maintain reserves in light of what Yumi just pointed out, that we will be in deficit spending next year. So could you provide a little bit more context to that, just to remind folks on why it's important to stay fiscally sound and what the impact of deficit spending has on our reserves?
Sure. Many of us remember the Great Recession, and in the Great Recession, we lost over $300 million. And so over a period of a couple of years. And so what happens is that school districts are required by law to have certain reserves. The requirement by law for us is 2%. That does not even equate to half of our payroll for 1 month. So our minimum reserve is 2% of this district's budget. Our monthly payroll is $45.5 million. And people sometimes forget that Long Beach Unified is the largest employer in the city of Long Beach. We employ 10,000 people. So when you start deficit spending, and as Yumi just stated, it's going to be $14 million, then it grows to over $30 million very quickly. And because of not things that we're doing, things that we are strapped with. So for example, our STRS and PERS contributions to health, to retirement are going up about $8 million a year. And so they will go to cap out with new increases to about $56 million when it's all said and done, compared to what we were paying about 7 years ago. So healthcare goes up, our special ed care costs go up, utilities go up. So when we're deficits, with declining enrollment, like we are losing approximately 1,600 students a year, would you say? So that's a lot of money. That's close to $18 million of money. So what we have to make sure, and we've done a good job here, I believe, is building out 5-year budgets. The county requires us to do a 3-year budget. So we do 5-year budgets because we do not want to start programs here and then take them away from those that we're serving, who are our students. So it's really, really important for us to watch everything we do. As you all know, this year our poverty rate, according to the data that we have, went down 2.8%. which is a loss of millions of dollars to this district. And there are districts surrounding us right now that are laying teachers off, counselors, wiping out music programs, athletics. One school district up north wiped out high school athletics for now all ninth graders. So we don't ever want to get in that situation. So it's important for us to have reserves, and it's important for us to watch everything that we do and to have this long-range plan. So I'm very proud of what the board's done to be fiscally prudent, but also to spend your money wisely. You have added hundreds of positions, counselors, teachers, all kinds of things to serve our great students here in this district, and we will continue to do so. But what we don't know is the future. So for example, the stock market just went down over 2,000 points, 12% the other day, the last week, and California gets a lot of money from very wealthy people, and they pay capital gains, and that money comes in April. So I'm going to be watching very carefully the tax collections in April to see what happens, because and they may revise, we might get a lower amount than the governor said in January, we might get the same, or we might get a little more. We just don't know. So I think it's prudent upon all of us to spend our money wisely, to watch this. And I can't commend the staff enough here for the budget here truly is a living budget. So once the board adopts it, it doesn't mean it's done, because they actually make adjustments on a regular basis. So I thank you for that.
And I'll just follow up on that. So I know you spend time researching other districts' budgets and surrounding districts' budgets. So we have a pot of positive certification saying we can pay our bills. Are there districts around us that do not have positive certifications on their interims that they're looking at right now? And just give us a scale
Yes,
of
there
that.
are approximately, I believe, 45 school districts that either have a negative or a qualified budget, which means they can't make their budget, they may not make their budget for the 2 years, or they may not be able to make their budget. There's a handful of districts right now that are making, West Contra Costa, for example, up north is making $40 million in cuts and laying hundreds of people off. Oakland is making $20 million of cuts. Manhattan Beach is making cuts. There are dozens of districts. Sweetwater just made $20 million worth of cuts, took out high school counselors and other programs. So this is the tip of the iceberg, because this is what's considered the good time. School districts are receiving more money, but the problem is declining enrollment, increased costs in retirement and healthcare and special education.
So I was at CSBA last week with about 25 other districts represented in the room, and the discussion around the budget was that while on the surface it looks like it's a great education budget, I think the reality for almost all the districts in that room is that even though there's more money going into the budget, everybody's making cuts for next year. That it's just not enough to maintain some of the services. There's some specialized dollars that are going into places, but that it's a real issue for districts across the state from what I talked to folks last week. So thank you to Renee and the staff in Business Services for keeping us in the loop. And I know that they made changes from the last time because they point them out to us in the business department meeting. So thank you.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? The motion is approved unanimously. The next one is a information item, selection of new superintendent of schools. Ruth?
Sure, Mr. President, I'll just give you a brief update. So we are in the heart of Phase 2 with public outreach and conducting our community forums. We had one last night at Renaissance, and I won't steal your thunder about talking about how well that went.
Do it, Ruth.
But just to briefly mention that we've already been to Cabrillo, Lakewood, Jordan, Wilson. Last night, Renaissance, we went just a little bit beyond 8 o'clock. So we had quite a few speakers. Tomorrow, we'll be at Prisk in the library at 6 o'clock. We are going to visit Avalon, 3 o'clock on March 12th. And Cabrillo, don't worry, we've got you covered at Avalon. And then our final community forum is at Cabrillo on March 14th at 9 o'clock a.m. So we have the online thought exchange that we've talked about. That ends this Friday on March 6th. The application deadline is on Monday, March 9th. Our first advisory committee meets on March 16th. And there's definitely been some common themes that have come out of these community forums. And I've got about 10 different district community stakeholder groups that have either already conducted or will be happening within the next week and a half. So the top theme that has come up from folks who have expressed themselves on what they want to see in their next superintendent, the number one thing is equity. So a focus on equity, recognizing that our schools are very diverse and our district values inclusive and equitable practices. Secondly, there's a lot of comments from our parents with students with special needs and community members as well. So they want someone who advocates for the all means all movement. They want someone who knows the budget. They recognize that the district is not in financial crisis. And lastly, somebody who leads with respect, integrity, and civility.
Thank you, Ruth. Any questions?
Yeah, Ruth, would it be possible to get the thought exchange, the actual web address, if Chris Itzen could send that out via social media? I know you can click through on the superintendent selection, but for folks who want that at their fingertips, perhaps there's a way to do a text message that we've been doing about the forums, or an email that could go out that has that direct link that someone can click right there so that they've got it at their fingertips.
Sure, we can get that out on the school messenger as well.
Great.
So that will be pushed out.
And I
through
would
that
just add,
medium.
if Board Member Kerr is okay with this added request as a part of that, that we do two simultaneous links. One is the thought exchange, but the other is the link to our YouTube where they can actually see the forums and then respond to the prompts that are being provided at the forum, so that we have some consistency, not in terms of perspective, but in terms of what kinds of things folks are contributing to that selection process. I think it would be helpful if they haven't had a chance to see the forums.
Yes, we could do that.
Thank you.
Further questions? Thank you very much, Ruth. We are now at report of board members. Start with our student board member, Mr. Molina. Did he leave you anything else to say, or did he take it all?
No, I still have stuff to say. Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board, executive staff, and members of the community. My name is Guillermo Molina Jr., a senior at Sato Academy of Mathematics and Science. Like the members of the board, I currently serve as an elected member of my community as secretary of my student council. And I am also heavily involved in health occupations related clubs on campus. I'm currently a member of the Sato HOSA Future Health Professionals chapter, and I'm president of the Sato Red Cross Club. In addition to this, I currently intern here at the main district office with Darren Mashburn, the district webmaster, and Chris Eftihue in the Office of Public Information. And just a more personal project that I'm currently undertaking is starting a composting program on campus with the help of our school's green team and the support of my biomedical innovations teacher. Sato has provided for me numerous opportunities, both inside and outside the classroom, to gain essential leadership and life skills that I know will benefit me in college and in my future, regardless of where I end up. From getting to take charge during our 10th grade interdisciplinary roller coaster project, which required weeks of work across all our classes, and this huge presentation to Cal State Long Beach professors and students, to more recently getting to visit 22 LBUSD elementary schools and interacting with nearly 3,000 students for Engineering Day, getting to teach them basic concepts through fun activities to hopefully inspire them to maybe consider Sato as a future school and a career in STEM in their futures. My school has also allowed me to take what I've learned and apply it across all my classes. For example, in my biomedical innovations class, we're currently wrapping up our bone unit, which involved doing preliminary research on bone structure and how bone fracture heals. We're doing an experiment to test the effects of an acidic environment on bones, putting bones through a stress test to see how different forces applied to the bones leads to different fractures. And now we're working on fixing a fictional patient's bone through the use of VEX components in a sort of like simulated orthopedic surgery situation, combining our biomedical classes with the engineering concepts we've learned in past courses. Being involved in clubs outside of school has also been extremely beneficial to me. I've become heavily involved in my Red Cross Club, and through that I've been able to make lots of connections with other service-oriented students in the Long Beach area, as well as many adult volunteers in the LA region. I've been involved in the planning and execution of 3 on-campus blood drives to collect a running total of nearly 140 pints of blood, with more on the way this upcoming April. I've also been extremely lucky to get CPR, first aid, and basic life support certified at no cost through the Red Cross Youth Corps program, and staff first aid stations at the Pasadena Rose Parade alongside EMTs and EMRs. So that involved getting to Pasadena at 3 a.m., staying till about 2 p.m., getting to walk for most of that time. It was good. And thankfully, my station didn't see anything major, just some people with allergies and a few scratches. Socially, Sato is the perfect place for me. True, we aren't as large and constantly bumbling like some of the larger high schools, but I feel as though there's so much more Sato offers to its students. I've made incredible friends and memories over the past 4 years, and I feel so comfortable there with the peers as well as the staff. The teachers and staff there have always been so kind and supportive, and I've been so lucky to be able to trust many of the teachers with more personal details of my life when I have been stressed or anxious and dealing with situations at home. Overall, I'm really happy I chose to go to Sato. Being a first-generation Mexican-American with parents who never completed any schooling beyond the 5th grade, I feel really fortunate to go to such an inclusive school. It's given me the opportunity to feel equal to my peers because a lot of them grew up having really strong connections because of who their parents knew or because of where they grew up, stuff like that. And going to Sato, getting to go to these conferences with industry professionals and make these connections in the district and people working in hospitals and all that cool stuff makes me feel equal to them. So I know Sato and the district have prepared me well for a successful future, and I'm excited to take charge of my life and make a lasting impact in the world.
Thank you for that. How many hours of sleep do you get per night? You don't have to answer that question. Right? But very interesting work ethic and all the things that you're involved in. We know you're going to do some great things going forward.
Thank you.
And are you a senior?
Yes.
Okay, so have you decided about college or university at this point?
Not quite yet. I have 7 acceptances so far to various CSUs in nursing and biochem, and I'm waiting right now for the UC decisions to come out towards the end of March.
You're going to keep us posted, right?
Yes.
All right, thank you so much. Ms. Kerr.
Congratulations on all of that. And thank you again for being a tremendous example of all that we hope for when we do this work. So thank you for sharing with us. Thank you for sharing the dais. Thank you for bringing the dragon. Does the dragon have a name? I don't recall. Dragoncito. All right then. It's been a busy couple of weeks and a busy time of year with all that's going on. So I just want to thank folks who have come out to share with us here publicly at our forums that we've held over the last couple of weeks regarding the superintendent search. Community members who have reached out to me personally just to talk about what's going on. I appreciate it and I hear you and will continue to do so. I want to offer congratulations to Dr. Jill Baker, who was honored by the Mayor's Fund for Education last week with a suite of really education superstars. She was very clear to make it about the team that she is honored to serve with at this district, but we're also honored, they also honored the organization Children Today, which is an early childhood program that we partner with now officially that offers wraparound services and child's care for homeless children or children experiencing homelessness, as well as Mark Taylor, who used to be with Long Beach City College, and the former chief of staff of Mayor Robert Garcia, who was working at the college along with the mayor before he was mayor, in the very early days of the College Promise. And it was a wonderful celebration of folks who care deeply about the education and care of kids from cradle to career. So congratulations, Dr. Baker, on a very well-deserved recognition. I want to shout out Hughes for a couple things. Dr. McCloyne did their Young Gifted and Talented program once again, over 2 decades of work by that amazing team, and their program last Friday night. And I was just there this morning because UCLA, they partnered with UCLA to receive the Sound Body, Sound Mind Fitness Center and their PE department, so it was great to be out there this morning. Over the weekend, I was at Cal State Long Beach for the STEP event, so it's the largest STEP event on the West Coast, and our Franklin STEP Club was there. So all of a sudden, I was like, those are our kids out there. And they were fantastic and got to spend the day with some amazing role models in that community at Cal State Long Beach. And congratulations to Long Beach Poly for their production of Hairspray, which was 2 weeks ago. It seems like forever. So there's a ton going on. And I'm grateful for all the hard work of folks every day and our students and families.
Dr. Benitez.
Yes. I'm going to shift my comments a little bit. Let me give a quick report, one budget related. We do have an impact on decisions that help to provide funding for our schools. We had one on the ballot last night, Prop 13. Early to call right now, there's still votes out there, but these are things that help to fund our education system, and in particular, our public education system. We'll have things like Schools and Communities First in November. So there is a way to impact and assure that we get much needed funding for priority areas. And I'm going to shift gears. We had a wonderful day of learning. Was it last Thursday, Dr. Baker? At Lakewood. And I'm going to sort of frame, I wasn't able to stay the whole time, but there were very candid and critical conversations around some of the issues that have been brought up tonight during public comment. It's a wonderful collaboration between Californians for Justice, our school district, and a lot of other organizations and community stakeholders that want to uphold the values that were expressed here tonight. So although I know I'm speaking on behalf of my fellow board members here, I'm going to use I statements tonight. I care, and please know that I'm listening, but I also know that racism and homophobia and sexual assault require action. Although there are personnel matters that we just cannot discuss, and I think all of you in attendance and those of you that spoke and those of you at home know why, right? Because we want to assure that there's due process, right? But we also want to assure that listening, we know, is not enough, particularly around these critical areas. I want to say that in the context of please keep engaging. Please keep engaging. That is the only way that we can collaboratively assure that your voice is not just heard, but translates into concrete actions and concrete steps. So although it may appear, and this is the toughest part, probably, again, using I statements about this job, that because sometimes we cannot comment publicly, doesn't mean that we're not listening, doesn't mean that things aren't going on, doesn't mean that things are not advocated for, but you have to hold us accountable by continuing to attend these meetings, by attending our superintendent selection forums, by emailing us. Hey, go contact the local press, right? Bring more attention to these important issues. But it's in the spirit of dialogue. I think we are all interested in productive dialogue. The superintendent loves to use this phrase, positive disruptors. All right, positive disruptors. We need that. We need to continue hearing from you because these are not issues that we do not take seriously, particularly for students and staff that have experienced trauma. All right, and unless we continue to listen and continue to provide spaces, and even when they're not spaces, for you to fight and advocate for those spaces, to force everyone involved to listen, including ourselves. But it's also, again, in the spirit of having a shared vision around humanity, around social justice, around inclusion, around fairness and compassion and caring. So that was sort of off the cuff because I was going to report on other stuff, but I feel it important, and again, I'm using I statements, to recognize that even during silence, which is very tough in a dialogical perspective, there are things going on, and want to continue to urge our community members, our students, our staff, our friends, and sometimes folks that we may not agree with, to continue using your voice so that we can continue listening and continue advancing a common vision. So thank you for those of you that are here, for those of you that have contacted us, for those of you that have contacted our other district staff. But we wouldn't know about many of the things going on, and that's not an excuse, unless we heard from you. And that's not to say that you should alone carry that burden, because it's a mutuality that's involved in this, but that this is historically one of the ways that disenfranchised, marginalized, oppressed communities have had to claim power and claim space, and that's speaking to power. So again, just off the cuff tonight for those of you that are listening to this.
Diana?
Well, I'll just say I appreciate those comments. I also echo the sentiment that it is tough to listen without being able to engage, and to let them know that we care, that we are listening, that your opinions are very meaningful, and then also, you know, on another note, to hear our wonderful student rep, Guillermo, talk about all the opportunities that you've taken advantage of is so heartwarming, because that's what we set out to do. What we really set out to do is offer the same opportunities to everybody, no matter where you come from, or what your background is, or you know who your parents are, who they know, or what they've done. And it makes me so happy to hear about your personal success within our system. And so it's kind of been a roller coaster evening in that sense, because we have what works best, what's working well, and then where we need to extend more work. And so we take it all in, and we are working on that, because that's what we should be doing. So just to lighten it up a little bit, I want to also congratulate Dr. Jill Baker. That was wonderful that she was honored, and she did accept on behalf of her team, and kind of uplifted everybody around her. That's how she does things. We've had a busy couple of weeks and some really wonderful things happening. We had a Black History Month celebration that I really wanted to talk about, because our Hughes principal, Mr. Ed Samuels, spoke. He was the keynote speaker. He talked about the Harlem Renaissance. He gave kind of a brief history of the Black experience, and he kind of highlighted the need for another Renaissance, and he challenged everybody in the room that it start here in Long Beach. And he was such a powerful speaker, so impassioned, educating everybody in the room, really uplifting everybody, inspiring everybody. That was such a fabulous event. Every year it's a wonderful event to attend, and I have had the honor to attend, and I appreciate that so much. Also, I attended a math night and book fair at Gompers. It was a family night. It was an organization called Mathnasium. They actually came here and passed out flyers, And I think that's wonderful to have a family night that highlights things like literacy and math. So math games in one room, book fair in another room. Let's see, also the AAUW had a STEM career conference, and 250 of our middle school females were able to attend. There were breakout sessions, there was a keynote speaker, Ms. Sathya Che, and she talked about her strategies for succeeding. She came from a very impoverished background, but she was able to become a success because of some core beliefs, perseverance, loving yourself, taking risks, and surrounding yourself with supportive people. And the overall message was that education equals opportunity, and that's what we're all about. So that was a fabulous event. Also, Read Across America on Monday, March 2nd, celebrating Dr. Seuss's birthday. I did some elementary school hopping, and I started at Longfellow in Miss Meadows' first grade class, I believe, and then went over to Lafayette and read in a few classrooms. First grade, kindergarten, and TK, they are adorable. To have kids smaller than kindergartners, hard to imagine. They're very receptive audience. That was a lot of fun. That's also something I enjoy every year. And then this morning, I had the pleasure of attending a drum circle with Dr. Baker and Mr. Natterchwal. Because I believe he has one child there, or maybe two, and two children there at Los Cerritos. And we were on the stage of the auditorium. Everybody had a drum, and because of the wonderful instruction of the music teacher, Miss Vinard, I'm pretty sure I can read music now. Don't tell her. But that's my report for tonight.
Mr. Meyer.
One of the issues of being next to last is all the eloquence has been used up, so I'll be brief. First, I'd like to recognize Amona Merlo, the principal from Sato Academy here. Thanks for being here. And you have a busy week coming up with WASC visitation, isn't that correct? I'll be there. Support you, you bet. The Wilson Town Hall on February 24th was quite a success. Thank you to Ruth and Yumi for being there, and Letitia for being there and supporting. We had some parents speak, and they were listened to very carefully, and I think things are going well. The Black History Celebration was indeed a rare treat to hear Ed Samuels speak about the Harlem Renaissance and a Renaissance in Long Beach, and to hear Dr. Felton Williams sing. I mean, that was a real treat as well. So he sang What a Difference a Day Can Make, and it was very well received. The Education Celebration, February 27th at Kiesel, Young, and Logan, where we celebrated the successes of Dr. Jill Baker, and I think the words that best describe her. Jill, a hero to her colleagues and the thousands of students who continue to benefit from her exemplary examples. Saturday, February 29th, I went to Fremont Elementary School to see a model Saturday program open on our playgrounds and run by Kids Club. There must have been 150 students there, coloring, singing, playing ball, and it tickled me because one little tot, probably no more than 2.5, was on a little tiny mini scooter, and the mother just admonished that child, no scooters on the playground, which of course is always our concern on the playground. So.
You sure that wasn't our superintendent who stopped?
So, and there were many parents there as well. So thanks to our superintendent and colleagues on the board, this pilot program seems to be working very, very well.
Thank you, John. My congrats to David Zaid and staff, teacher and administrative workshop, phenomenal. It was a wonderful event, David, and to see the large contingent of people who showed up and turned out for that event really makes a statement about this district and the interest people have in working in this district. But a fabulous program, excellent program. And just to comment on the African American History Month, I thought that was an excellent program, and really want to thank the committee for putting together a program that had, I thought, a great deal of impact given all the things that we're having to deal with right now. Again, Diana talked about Ed Samuel's presentation, and John as well. When I saw Ed earlier today at the opening of the physical education facility at his school, I asked him, I said, Ed, weren't you a math major or not a philosophy major? It was a hell of a speech you gave. He took it all in stride, but it was a wonderful, resounding speech about the progression of history, African American history in this country, and all the things that were historical and contemporary with respect to those issues. Let's see. In looking at the dynamic of that and looking at how this district has responded to it, I'm looking at it from a 16-year lens of being involved in this district, and also being able to juxtapose that lens with looking at other school districts across the United States, and having that advantage of being able to see what we're doing with respect to equity and inclusion versus what I don't see across the United States in other districts. I have seen a lot of movement in this district in terms of programs, in terms of hard messages, training to speak to the issue of inclusion, and the work that our administrators are doing to move that forward. For the folks that think that we're sitting on a dime when it comes to race, these are hard subjects to have in a lot of districts. And I've seen administrators who've tried to move the dime on this subject of race lose their jobs in other districts because their parents of means don't want to see resources shifted from certain parts of their district to other parts of the districts that are in dire need of help. And I've seen that over the years in a lot of districts across this country. So to have the force of conviction here in this district to tackle this issue, and we do have things that happen that transpire in this district, but I'll tell you, they are not as catastrophic as what I've seen across this country. We've done a lot of good things here, and we continue to do a lot of good things in this district, and people need to really appreciate and understand that. My last item is I want to congratulate Lisa Halbert, Doug Halbert's wife, who just completed her doctorate. Thank you. Superintendent's report.
Yes, I have a couple items. One, I want to publicly thank Millikan High School for hosting NBC News today on a very short announcement. NBC News is going to be doing a documentary on how Long Beach uses the SAT and other programs to bring about equitable practices for our young people. And so that will be airing in May, and so I'll let you know. And one of our students was interviewed, as well as a couple classroom teachers, and they were doing a beautiful job. The other part, I want to piggyback on what Mr. Myers was talking about. This last Saturday and every Saturday from now until the end of the school year, we launched our what they're calling Super Saturday program. And we had, it's at 16 schools. It's actually on our website. I'll just name them here. Barton, Bernie, Chavez, Fremont, Hart, Holmes, McKinley, Mann, Oropeza, Powell, Roosevelt, Signal Hill, Smith, Stevenson, and Willard. And so any students can go to any of these schools. It's a drop-in program. And I just have to share a story. As I walked up to Oropeza on Saturday, and if those who don't know the school, you really can't see inside the school because of the fencing the way it is. But I heard all this productive, good noise. And when I walked in there were about 45 young people. This is around 9 o'clock. Playing, doing different activities, doing games. And I asked the Y, I believe it's the Y is the provider there. We have several providers. And they said, Mr. Steinhauser, The parents were lined up at 8:30, and we're so thankful that they had the opportunity to send their students to a safe place. So we're going to be collecting data on all these schools throughout the rest of the year and the attendance, and we'll get back to the board on the cost analysis piece. But I do want to thank the board for encouraging us to do this, and it is spread throughout our community. And then the last piece is, we'll put this on our website too, an article just came out today. Ed Week just did an extensive, over a month ago, they were here talking to our kids, talking to our teachers, talking to our administrators, how Long Beach, again, in the sense of equity, can do what it does. In this area, they were really focusing around mathematics. How is it that our district can prepare more young people, like the young man that we have here, to those great programs and to get into those colleges of their choices. Think about that. You have 7 acceptance, and I'm sure you're going to have a lot more, which is what we all want every student to be able to have that opportunity. So it's a 12-page article. It is just great, and it makes you really, really proud of what everybody does every day. This is not a perfect system, but this is a system that is striving to become great, and I really appreciate that. And as a grandparent of kids who will be coming here really soon, it's amazing how fast kids grow. It's kind of scary. I'll be coming to Education Celebration myself, so as a participant. I just can't thank you enough because it's amazing. This is hard work, as you all have said. It's never going to be done, so I don't want people think it's ever going to be done. But to our students, I can't thank you enough for what you do each and every day to push us. And we'll just continue to strive to do our best for everybody. So thank you.
Thank you, Chris. We're now at announcements.
I have one. It's that time of year. The Harmony Project will be putting on a joint concert featuring the students of Harmony Project North, South, and West. This coming Saturday, March 7th at 10:30 a.m. at the Andrew Osmond Performing Arts Center at Poly High School. If you have not been to a Harmony Project concert, you should definitely go. It will be a full house, and there will be a reception after. So we'd love to have you come out and hear our young musicians from across the city do a joint concert. And I just wanted to put out, our information is on the website for those people who want to contact board members, but I also have business cards up here at the front if anybody wants contact information, just so you know how to get a hold of us.
Thank you. And Ruth, just to thank you for all the work and effort and helping with the work on the superintendent search, and staff, their support for that, help and support for that as well. It is move, even beyond my wildest expectations, the level of efficiency and effectiveness that you folks are bringing to this process. So thank you for your leadership. Okay.
Tomorrow at Prisk, Saturday the 14th at Cabrillo.
All right. Entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
All right. We're going to do a photo op, young man. So.